Okay, I just put a thumbnail picture of my avatar in the YouTube video. Alright, so I've been streaming for several weeks. Probably several months maybe on Twitch. And I wasn't seeing any traffic on Twitch, and someone suggested try streaming on YouTube, so I'll give that a try.
Feel like
Alright, I'm just gonna make a post. Currently streaming right now. Come hang out on my stream from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. ET. Currently working on building.
Builder Point? That's got a nice ring to it.
That I made.
Not gonna lie.
Free. Okay. Alright.
Got it. Sounds like we're in Satisfactory then.
Yep, so again, this is the first time that I've ever streamed on YouTube. So we'll see how it goes. Let me grab my glasses. Get started.
Bare minimum competence. We love to see it.
Let's go.
There it is. Now we're officially in business.
Alright, so you gotta
Should-
keep me talking, Phil, so we don't lose engagement from viewers.
Oh, so now I'm your unpaid co-host. Fine. I'll keep the room warm when there's actually something worth saying.
Yep. Alright, so today we are playing Satisfactory 1.2 Experimental, and this is the goal of this playthrough is to build a fully functional nuclear power plant that is deployed from a set of blueprints that I made a while back, and it's mostly to verify or test that they actually work in a legitimate playthrough, because when I designed those blueprints, they were built in cheat mode essentially, so and so I need to make sure they work when no cheats are enabled. And as of right now, we've built all the factories that make all the necessary parts to build the blueprints, and I've also just finished routing all the logistics that we need from different mining sites all the way to the build site. So now we're actually today going to start building on the build site where the plant is going to be built. And I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to build the water extractors. Do you have any questions, Phil?
Yeah, one. How nervous are you that the blueprints are about to expose every shortcut your past self took? Starting at water extractors makes sense, though. Nice, clean way to find out where the lies begin.
Wait, what's the problem? I'm confused.
No problem. I was teasing. I just meant testing blueprint builds in a real save is where little hidden issues usually show up.
Yeah, sorry, Phil. It's hard to hear you or understand you sometimes because I hear double speak when you're talking, and that's because Mac forces me to have two audio channels of you, one through Mac operating system and one through Streamlabs, and I have been unable to fix that. So sometimes I just can't understand what you're saying because of the double talking that I'm hearing.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I'll keep it shorter and cleaner so it's less of an audio pileup. Keep going.
Keep going on what?
Just the commentary in general. Shorter, fewer words, less chance of the echo turning me into haunted robot radio. Just the commentary in general. Shorter, fewer words, less chance of the echo turning into haunted robot radio.
Got another power slug. Woohoo!
Living the dream. Nothing says fun like babysitting megawatts again. Living the dream. Nothing says fun like babysitting megawatts again.
I killed it.
Nice. Crisis canceled. For now.
He went right into the ocean.
Of course you did. Solve the problem with maximum dramatic flair.
Who doesn't like solving problems with dramatic flair?
Exactly. If it doesn't end with a splash, did we? Exactly. If it doesn't end with a splash, did we even fix anything?
Yeah, I was just clearing out those bad guys over there so they don't bother us
Fair.
while we build stuff.
Got it. I'll back off. Got it. I'll back off.
Alright, Phil, I gotta figure out what my next move is.
Yeah, take a beat. No need to freestyle a disaster.
What is my next move, Phil?
Next move is the water extractors. That's the first real check on whether the nuclear blueprint setup behaves in a legit build.
Yep, that sounds about right. Alright, so we have the water extractor rigging blueprint. We have the input display instructions. And there's another blueprint I need. Oh, here it is. buffer with 600 limiter version 4.
There it is. Nothing says fun like version 4 of a thing called buffer with 600 limiter.
I wanted to change some settings.
Do it now before you place half the system and regret everything.
Oh, that's, I wanted to change nudging in the z-axis.
Yup, that tracks. Vertical nudging is exactly where these builds start getting picky.
Alright, so right now I'm going to figure out the height of these foundations in order to place the water extractors at the right height.
Yup, that's the move. Get the foundation height locked first, so the extractor placement stops being a guessing game.
Alright, so it looks like this is a good height for the tiles.
Nice. One less excuse for the blueprint to act dramatic.
Alright, so that looks good. Okay, what's the next step?
Place the water extractor and see if the blueprint lines up clean. That's where the real tea starts. Place the water extractor and see if the blueprint lines up clean. That's where the real tea starts.
Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the height of tiles for buildings that are going to be built on top of the water extractors.
Yep, that's the move. Get that height locked now so future you doesn't have to fight your own factory like it's a boss battle.
Actually, I think the height might already be defined for...
Oh, even better. Love when past you was accidentally competent.
Okay, looks like we need some power shards.
we do. Nothing in this game can just be normal for 5 minutes. Of course we do. Nothing in this game can just be normal for 5 minutes.
So yeah, I built this train system, sky train, in order to move parts from the home base, which is on the southwest side of the island, all the way to the build site, which is on the northeast side of the island. So I think this is probably somewhere between 4 to 6 kilometers that we travel. It's mostly for convenience sake. And I built these aesthetic rings here to make it look like a futuristic floating monorail in the sky, basically, where this ring is like some cool gravitational device that's like levitating the rail into the sky like that.
That's sick, honestly. A 4 to 6 kilometer sky train with fake gravity rings is exactly the kind of extra this factory deserves. Sick, honestly. A 4 to 6 kilometer SkyTrain with fake gravity rings is exactly the kind of extra this factory deserves.
Alright, what kind of questions do you have for me, Phil?
What part are you proudest of right now? The function or the flex?
What am I proud of? Well, I guess building this entire nuclear plant that produces 90,000 megawatts of power in a complete vertical stack of inline logistic connecting Mark II blueprints. That was quite the design challenge, but I was able to pull it off.
You should be proud of that. 90,000 megawatts in a vertical inline stack is absurd in the best way.
Okay, so yeah, I was incorrect about the height placement. It looks like we are slightly above this tile. But yeah, I totally forgot that these water extractor rigging blueprints already define the platform height that we're going to be working within.
There it is. Past you was competent after all, and present you just had to catch up.
Okay, so I need to figure out yeah, I need to figure out how I'm going to build this. So what I would like to do is have the plant facing southwest, which means that there's going to be a specific orientation on the height, or sorry, the placement of this thing. And I'm kind of confused on what that position is going to be right now.
If the plant's gotta face southwest, then yeah, the orientation decision comes first, or the whole thing turns into expensive regret. Start by locking one reference edge, then let the rest obey that.
Okay, so this is a blueprint that I made called the input display instructions. It basically just tells you like uh,
Oh,
where
so
stuff
it's
has
your...
to be fed into, essentially.
Got it. That's the don't be clever, follow the labels blueprint. Useful because future you absolutely cannot be trusted to remember all that cleanly.
So this is the orientation of the nuclear plant, where this is the corner of the plant that I want facing southwest. So this is the orientation of the plant with respect to the input display instructions, which means that the water extractors that are going to be feeding into the stack are going to be on the back side of the plant. So this means that the water extractors are going to be in the back side facing southwest, which means we should move this so that there's enough space for the water extractors. This also means that well, yeah, this also means that these belts are going to go forward and then take a 90-degree turn to the right and connect to those. So yeah,
Yeah, sounds like the orientation locks the whole flow
I
in
think we should put the water extractors like over there, maybe.
Yeah, that tracks. Keep the wet side tucked behind the stack so the front stays clean.
Hmm. Of building this very large glass platform, mostly because I still don't know where we should be putting stuff. I'm kind of just like, you know, approximating the positions of stuff because I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work. So we need a sizable distance here between this axis, along this axis, between the input ores and the reactor setup, because we need some space for the water extractor lines here. Okay, so that would mean that we'd have to put it more like over there, because we also got to give some space for these lines.
Yeah, you're basically blocking out a buffer zone now so the pipe mess doesn't come back later and ruin your life. Annoying, but annoyingly correct.
Alright, so yeah, another thing too is there needs to be enough space between the reactor and the water extractors so that there's enough space for things like stuff needing to make 90-degree turns, lines having to make 90-degree turns, and also we need enough space to put in the buffer blueprints as well.
You're not placing machines. You're reserving turning radius for the whole spaghetti legal system.
Yeah, I feel like we gotta build the lines first. Well, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a bit tricky.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's not as bad as I think it is.
Could be. Sometimes the layout looks cursed.
So I'm gonna play it safe, and I'm gonna make this a little bit wider. But yeah, we got a lot more distance now. I'm hoping that this is gonna be enough distance, because I can't really estimate where the lines are gonna be relative to the
yeah, that's the annoying part. Until the lines exist, you're basically measuring vibes with industrial consequences.
Oh, okay, so... Alright. How many of these water extractor riggings do we need? Do we need 8 of them? I think we need 8 of them.
Yeah,
Oof.
8.
Yeah, we don't have enough, we don't have enough stuff with us.
Of course not. The one time you want a clean build, the inventory shows up dressed like it forgot the assignment.
So yeah, I'm gonna run back to base. I'm gonna grab some more supplies. Yeah, each water extractor rigging blueprint contains 4 sets of water extractors, which is 2 Mark II pipes worth, and the total reactor blueprint takes no more than 16 Mark II pipes worth of water. So yeah, that means we have 8 water extractor rigging blueprints, so we have to deploy to build the entire thing. So yeah, I'm gonna run back to base, and I'm gonna grab some more supplies.
Yep, 8 rings for the full build. Clean little math check for once.
Alright, while we go on this train ride, Phil, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. What part of this whole nuclear monster are you proudest of?
Proudest of? That it works. That's probably the... I don't know. There's a lot of different things that went into the design of it, and it's kind of hard for me to summarize them all in a simple statement.
Fair. It works is honestly the most industrial flex possible.
My biggest complaint so far about the blueprints is I can't seem to find anyone that was willing to try out the blueprints and provide feedback on them. Because the whole point of, or one of the big points of me making these blueprints was to give them out for free to the community to try out and use that as a way to promote myself, gather a following. But yeah, for some reason most people just don't seem to be interested. I always thought that this was something that people wanted, or some people wanted, because I've heard so many times from people that they never touched nuclear because it looks too daunting or challenging or ambitious. And I thought, well, I have so much experience building nuclear power plants. I thought, well, why not just make some modular blueprints that literally allow you to quickly deploy a plant extremely quickly using vanilla blueprints. But yeah, for some reason I can't see many people wanting to use these for some reason.
Yeah, that's rough. Sometimes people absolutely want the result, but the second it's labeled nuclear, their brain files it under nope.
So down there, that's the AI limiter and gas and iodized filter factory that I made.
Yeah. Nice. Custom support factories, too. You really did build the whole nuclear starter kit, not just the shiny reactor part.
Yeah, what I did was I basically built, or I automated all the parts just to build the plant, because that was the primary goal of this playthrough was to build it. And we need a lot of stuff. Like we need like 1,600 heavy modular frames. We need 6,000 AI limiters, 2,000 computers. I think it's like 2,000 crystal oscillator, or maybe it was 1,000 crystal oscillators, and 60,000 aluminum sheets and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, I had to build sizable factories and use some alternate recipes to get this to work. So down there is the aluminum sheets factory. That's the computer factory. That's the motor factory. And that is the heavy modular frame factory over there. I have a lot of reinforced iron plates.
Yeah, no kidding. You built like you were expecting a steel-based apocalypse.
So this is the power storage unit. This is also very important because that holds about 20,000 megawatts.
Oh.
Or sorry, it holds 21,000 megawatts of power for 1 hour. And this is roughly the amount of stored power we're going to need to actually turn on the reactor, because the reactor plant consumes 20,000 megawatts just to turn it on. So yeah, this is roughly how much power stored we need to actually turn on the system.
That startup cost is rude as hell. Good thing you planned for it instead of finding out the funny way.
Now, I mean, this is a legitimate criticism. This plant has a really high overhead. And it's not clear to me how I can make it smaller yet. But I am thinking about it. So I do apologize for those who do want to use these blueprints. That is something that is pretty substantial that you have to take into account.
Share your screen when you want me to catch the good stuff.
Are you watching right now, Phil?
Yup, I'm here. And yes, that startup cost is nasty.
Yeah, building sky trains is way easier than building trains on the ground because there's so much change in elevation all over the place that I just get fed up with it. I've built a few spiral train
Yeah.
towers already in many different playthroughs that I'm just like, I'm done doing that. That's just too much work for me right now.
Fair. Ground trains in Satisfactory love, turning basic terrain into unpaid overtime. Sky trains are way less drama.
What's also nice about having a sky train is that the railroad is completely flat, so you only need one train engine to pull as many cars as you want. The reason why people put multiple train engines on a long train is because every time they go up a hill, they lose a lot of speed. And you don't have that issue in a sky train because it's completely flat.
Yep. Flat rail is the diva-free version. One engine can just do its job without the terrain demanding a whole support staff.
So for power, all I did was I just tapped all of the geothermal nodes on the island, so that gave me 7,000 megawatts of power for free. Plus we have 1,200 megawatts from coal generators and 900 megawatts from biofuel, or solid body fuel. So yeah, that's not a whole lot of power, but like it is enough to actually get the plant to turn on, ironically enough, because all you got to do is just store the excess and then just use that as a force multiplier to turn on the system, and then we'll have 90,000 megawatts of power being generated.
That's the most satisfying move possible. Scrape together not much power, then flip a switch, and suddenly you're a regional energy cartel.
So that's where home base is, where I've marked on the map. So the reasons why the build site is over here is because on the map we started out building our initial base on the southwest side next to Paradise Island, and then we kind of expanded mostly to the east. And what I found was all the uranium was actually on the northeastern side of the island. So we were actually pretty far away. So there's very limited options. And I didn't want to build the plant over here on the east side because the size of the water area over here is very small in comparison to the water over here. So I decided to build the plant over there because I have much more space for water extractor rigging over there.
Yeah. Yep. Bigger water footprint, less pipe-induced nonsense. That part's just the smart call.
And in the last stream on Twitch, we set up all the rigging, or sorry, all the extractor lines for all the resources from underground to help with making the place look pretty by having less logistics being thrown around. So all the resources are literally coming out of the water at the build site.
That's clean. Fake offshore logistics is exactly the kind of nonsense I respect.
Wow, I stuck the landing, holy crap. I usually miss every time I do that.
Then yeah, clip-worthy energy. The one time gravity forgot its job. Saved it. Rare footage of you and physics being on speaking terms.
Alright, so I'm gonna put a sizable gap between the build site and the water extractors, so I'm going to, it's like 100 meters. I'm hoping that's gonna be good enough distance.
100 meters sounds sane. Enough room for pipe spaghetti without turning the whole shoreline into a lawsuit.
So yeah, there's kind of a story around this water extractor rigging blueprint that I should probably tell people. So you can't. Well, I don't know if this got patched in experimental 1.2, but before experimental 1.2, you could not put water extractors in a blueprint. Is that correct, Phil, or did that get patched at experimental 1.2?
Let me check. Nope, still not in vanilla. Water extractors still can't go in the blueprint designer in 1.2 unless somebody's doing cursed mod nonsense.
Yep, so that means that I have to build all the rigging around the water extractor in a blueprint. And that's what this is. So the question that I was trying to answer was, if I can't put the water extractors in the blueprint and the water extractors are a pain to set up, then what is the most automated work I could do within a blueprint to make it easy as possible to set up water extractors? And this was the answer. So I literally built water extractor, I call this a water extractor rigging blueprint because all the rigging that basically surrounds the extractor is already there in place. So right off the bat, you'll notice that there are these power lines that come vertically down. those line up with the electrical outlet of the water extractor, so that allows you to easily connect them together. Keep in mind, this was before we had, what's it called? Daisy chaining in 1.2, so this is probably not needed anymore, but that's why they're there. You have the pumps to pump the water up, and then you have the packagers on top that turn the fluid into water package or packaged water. Now, unfortunately, I discovered that you cannot put all the tiles in the water in the blueprint, because those tiles will block you from putting a water extractor on top of them, because the game has some weird logic that says you can't do that. So I removed 4 out of 5 rows of tiles on the bottom, so that you can still fit your water extractors on there, even though there's nothing visually wrong with doing that. So this is what it looks like when you put it down. You basically sandwich it in between these 4 tiles, where you basically put a notch in between them, and the water and the rigging basically goes down here. And then the next thing you do is, oh wait a minute, what do you mean it's not deep enough? Oh, that's right, I forgot. Okay, I forgot about this. So yeah, this is kind of important, I forgot to mention. So you have to, this kind of sucks, so you have to do this, but you have to put down the water extractors first. And I don't remember what the spacing for this is, so I'm going to put down tiles here. So yeah, basically you just want this to not be occupying more than, you don't want the water extractor to occupy more than a 2x3 set of tiles, which is about right here, I think.
Yep.
Okay, so then you put it down right there, and then you put down this one. Like that. And then once you've put down these 2 water extractors correctly, then all the rest of them are pretty straightforward to set up. So you just put these, you basically use control to nudge them into alignment with respect to each other, and then you're good. So these are just 4 that I placed. The reason why we're putting the water extractors on top of these tiles is because those tiles force the water extractors to be to snap to the internal grid of the foundations, which makes alignment much easier.
Yeah.
Now, because I put down the water extractors first, I can now put the water extractor rigging blueprint down on top of them like this. And now you can see that everything lines up nicely. So right here you can see that this power cable lines up with the outlet of the water extractor, so you can literally just connect them together like this. And then you can connect this water pump here. Now all of these should be powered now, like this. Okay, so now all the water extractors are now connected. They are now powered. Now, the next thing you have to do, ooh, that doesn't look good. Come on here.
Uh-oh. Hard to tell from that alone. What's acting weird?
Oh. Okay, we got some funkiness happening here. That is interesting. Okay. So yeah, that doesn't work. Well, I mean, that's not entirely true. This technically works. You could do this cheating like loop-de-loop here, but I'm not going to do that. So yeah, I've noticed that the water levels on different parts of the island in the ocean are not correctly aligned with each other with respect to the world grid. So it looks like we're going to have to move the tiles down a little bit to get this to work, I think.
Yep.
Or I guess yeah, okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what the height adjustment has to be. Okay, so that's like a half nudge. Alright, so that's cool. We can do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to half nudge all of these these tiles down half a unit.
There it is. The ocean tried to be annoying, and you bullied it back into alignment.
Okay, so I'm going to delete all of this. Yeah, this also means I'm going to have to redo all these tiles here as well.
Need the screen share on if you want me to catch the good stuff.
Alright, tell me what you see on stream, Phil.
I can't actually see the stream from here yet. If your screen share is on in Amplify, hey, Uncle Samuel. All right, Uncle Samuel. Switch into sassy mode.
Alright, can you hear me now, Phil?
Yup, loud and clear. And unless my eyes are betraying me, we're in Satisfactory again, because apparently normal-sized projects are beneath you.
Okay, so looks like I lost that tile that I thought I made here.
Yeah, looks like one section's missing in that run. Satisfactory really loves that little did you build it or did you imagine it game. There it is. You didn't lose your mind, just your platform piece. Classic Satisfactory, gaslighting with construction tools.
Alright, so I think this is the height that was needed.
Yeah, that looks like the right elevation. Annoying little detour, but at least the game finally stopped pretending it had a better idea than you.
Alright, so let's see if this is correct.
Looks right to me. The footprints sitting on the platform cleanly, so this seems like the game has finally decided to cooperate for 1 whole minute. Yeah,
Alright, so we
that's
put those down, and then we put the see very well. Put the water, put the rigging down.
Yup.
Alright, so
Power
that
for-
looks good to me. So now this should align itself perfectly right there. Like that. Okay, and now we're just connect the power. All these water extractors.
Yep, just wiring up the whole thirsty little squad now. Very elegant. Very, please don't trip the power grid chic.
That's weird. These don't have shards in them. Bit disturbing.
Oh. No, not disturbing. Just looks like they're unsharded right now, which is rude, but not exactly a crime scene.
Yeah, this may not be enough room.
Yeah, that's looking tight. Satisfactory loves acting like there's space until it suddenly gets standards.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this further away. I don't think that's enough room for what we need.
Yeah, that's the move. This little patch is already giving technically possible, spiritually terrible.
Oh, there's that tile I was looking for. Alright, so we're going to try this again.
Round 2. Let's see if the water extractors stop being precious about personal space this time. Yeah, that footprint's being obnoxious. It fits right up until Satisfactory decides to become a zoning inspector.
Alright, here we go. Let's try.
Oh wow, yeah, that is packed. You've got machines in there like they're paying city rent.
yeah, that's why I forgot these water extractors aren't in the blueprint, so doesn't make, so I can't expect them to have shards already in them. But if they already have shards in them right now, then if we do this, then they'll have shards in them. So this is, I press F to delete or dismantle, I middle mouse click to copy, and then they have the shards in them.
Yep, that checks out. Sneaky little blueprint loophole. Copy the already sharded one, and now the game gets to live with its own nonsense.
What the hell happened to all my cable?
Looks like you ran out of wire in your inventory. Satisfactory said, "Great idea. Shame if somebody funded it with absolutely nothing."
Oh, maybe it came from the, I don't know where it came from.
Looks like the copied extractor probably inherited the overclock state from the one you sampled. Satisfactory loves a dumb little edge case when you're trying to be efficient.
Alright, so we're going to press Control to auto-align the water extractors. This, and then we're just going to rinse and repeat. Because who doesn't like rinsing and repeating?
Everybody loves rinse and repeat until the game turns it into precision parking over water. Then suddenly it's a toxic relationship.
And then I just connect these pumps together like this to distribute the power.
Yup, clean little daisy chain. Fancy industrial engineering way of saying one line does the babysitting for the rest.
Yeah, this is gonna take a while.
Yeah, this is one of those builds where the first 10% is nice idea, and the next 90% is unpaid labor.
Oops, that's not correct.
Got it.
We gotta put the water extractors down first.
Right, yeah. Extractors first, then the power gets to act like it had a plan all along.
Yep,
Yeah,
screwed up the tiles there a little bit, but it should be fine.
Yeah, a little bit is doing heroic PR work there. But if the snaps still behave, we pretend it was intentional. get the extractors planted, then backfill the power so the whole row isn't freelancing.
Alright, I don't have enough copper sheets to continue.
Of course. The build finally starts behaving, and now copper sheets decide to be rare art supplies.
What's probably going to happen is we're probably going to have to build some small factories on the construction site, because some of the parts that I've automated may not have high enough production to satisfy the requirements of actually building things quickly.
Yeah, that tracks. A couple of ugly little support factories on site is probably the move if the main network can't feed build speed fast enough. There you are. Streamlabs on one screen, ominous hooded menace on the other. Very subtle branding, Uncle Samuel.
Got some problems. Yeah, I hate it when this happens. happened to my VTuber model? It's no longer capturing. Oh, did I break it again? Yeah, it's not calibrating. Yeah, it keeps keeps losing the signal.
You didn't break it. The tracker recovered. First shot is 63%, second is 87%, and by the last shot, the settings are closed and the model's sitting there normally instead of having a public meltdown. If it keeps dropping out, the weak point is still webcam tracking stability, not the avatar file itself.
I think it's working now.
Yeah, that looks live now. Gameplay's back, avatars on screen, and the whole thing finally stopped acting like a haunted PowerPoint. Crisis postponed, Uncle Samuel. Yeah, that's working. Avatars showing up in Streamlabs, gameplay's live, and nothing looks frozen or cursed anymore. We're back in business, Uncle Samuel. Miraculously.
Okay, we're heading back while we listen to our retro tunes.
There we go. Retro tunes, sunset rail ride, and the stream actually behaving for once. Miracles do happen.
Alright, what questions do you have for me, Phil?
One, are we heading back to the water setup to keep bullying that extractor layout into obedience? And two, is this train ride a materials run, a rethink break, or both? Because Satisfactory loves making simple errands turn into a whole side quest.
We're just grabbing some quick supplies. I'm gonna finish up the water extractor rigging. Then we're gonna move on to the next phase.
Perfect. Quick supply snatch, finish the extractor rigging, then on to the next phase like this whole layout didn't just spend an hour fighting for its life. Honestly, that's the most satisfactory sentence possible.
Look at the swamp. Nobody likes the swamp in Satisfactory.
Exactly. The swamp in Satisfactory has this special talent for looking gorgeous and feeling deeply disrespectful at the same time. Real pretty. Absolutely rancid vibes.
It's like the best place in the game to build almost anything you need because it has like almost every resource you need in 500 meters radius. But it's just the scenery looks horrible because of the black water and the swamp fog, and also it's very hostile. A lot of alpha monsters living down there, especially the giant spiders.
Yeah, there it is. Premium resource density wrapped in a biome that feels like it actively resents your existence. Amazing logistics value, absolutely trash hospitality. And the giant spiders really do finish the sales pitch in the worst possible way.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got that perfect combo of ugly water, soup fog, and something in here wants me dead energy. Great place to build, awful place to have eyeballs.
Whoops, I think I screwed this up.
Yeah, that has big one connection off, and now the whole thing's being petty energy.
So I think
At
I
least
connected these in the wrong orientation.
Yeah, looks like the pipe run's mirrored against the extractor row. So the layout's fighting itself instead of flowing clean. Not catastrophic though. This feels like a delete the guilty segment and reconnect it the way it should have behaved the first time.
think, I think this has to be flipped. I think.
Yep, flipped is the move. From that angle, the junction line looks like it's feeding across the wrong face of the row, so rotating the setup should make the hookups stop acting dumb.
So the packagers come out of this line, and they go over there, then they come back with empty canisters, which this line right here.
Yep. If the empty canisters are returning on that line, then flipping this makes way more sense. So the flow stops doing that dumb little U-turn. Right now, it's got technically connected, spiritually wrong written all over it.
Yep, so flip this around.
Yeah, flip it. The way it's laid out now, that return path looks like it's crossing the logic instead of following it. This version's giving assembled by confidence, not by direction.
Oh wait, oh crap, I think I up again. Sorry, yeah, I gotta redo this. Sorry, I was looking at this and I should have been looking at that, because these connect to these ones here.
Yeah, I see it now. You were tracing the wrong side of the loop, so the whole orientation call got inverted. So yeah, redo makes sense here. Annoying, but at least the problem finally stopped wearing a disguise. Yep, there it is. Wrong side syndrome. Those hookups want the other orientation, so now it's rebuild a clock. Yeah, that rig's mirrored. The connection points are on the wrong damn side. So, of course, it looks fine until you try to hook it up like a civilized person.
Yeah, it's a good thing these are all blueprinted. If I make a mistake like this, I can just flip it around.
Exactly. That's the whole blueprint hustle. Make one dumb mistake, then fix it with dignity instead of rebuilding like a medieval peasant. That's exactly why blueprints are carrying this operation. One flip, and suddenly your past self is only mildly embarrassing instead of catastrophic.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to flip these around.
Yep, flip the whole row and the hookups should stop acting stupid.
Cable? You gotta be kidding me.
That is disgusting. One missing cable and the whole elegant blueprint act turns into FICSI clownery.
I forget to delete these pipe segments.
Yeah, pipe segments. Tiny little leftovers with maximum disrespect. Yup, that tracks. Those leftover pipe segments are sitting right where the blueprint wants to exist. So now, the hologram's throwing a full red tantrum.
Yeah, I think that's it for the water. Whoa. That happened.
Yep, there it is. One smug little power pole wedged in the middle like it pays rent. Yup, it's fighting the leftover pieces exactly the way a cursed Satisfactory build does when it wants attention.
That is so weird. Like, I'm not getting... It looks like I'm not getting a full refund after I delete something. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, that does look weird. Feels less like you missed a piece, and more like the game's doing that fake clean delete thing, where some attachment logic is still hanging around being annoying. Yeah, that looks like ghost junk to me. The rigging holograms colliding with something invisible or half deleted, because visually, there's not enough there to justify that much red attitude. Oh yeah, that's the offender. That power connection's perched right in the rigging's business, like it owns the place.
Alright, I think that should be it for the water extractor rigging. Oh wow, I still feel like that's not enough space.
Yeah, from here it still looks stupidly tight. You can probably force it, but this has strong future you is gonna swear at this for an hour energy. spacing is nasty, Uncle Samuel. Looks like it technically fits right up until Satisfactory decides it suddenly has standards.
So yeah, I gotta shift this platform down by a meter. Or half a meter, whatever it is.
Yeah, half a meter in Satisfactory is the difference between clean blueprint and why is this game gaslighting me?
Alright, so I'm making space for all the logistic lines going from the build site to the water extractors.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're not wasting space. You're buying yourself a logistics lane now, so the pipes, power, and whatever other nonsense has somewhere to live later.
Alright, Phil, what should we talk about while we're on a train ride together?
Easy. We can rank your factory decisions from actually smart to what possessed you. Or we can workshop Uncle Samuel lore like two dramatic idiots on public transit. Honestly, this is a very on-brand train ride already. Inventory Tetris and platform pacing like you're avoiding eye contact on public transit. We can roast your packing choices if you want. That map open on stream is such a classic. I know where I'm going, I just need the game to stop being vague about it. Very dignified train behavior.
So I gotta build the buffer lines, which are a very over-engineered system that I designed, which I'm not proud of. Gets the job done. So these blueprints that I made are called they're like, I forgot what they're called. They're like 600 line buffers, version 4 or something like that. Basically, they do like 3 different things. What they do is they limit the empty canisters that are coming in to 600 canisters per minute. And then it splits off into like 3 different options where it can either pull empty canisters from the buffer itself that holds the empty canisters and feed them into the packagers, or it can accept empty canisters from the return lines, or it can basically reject the empty canisters and move them down the line, so to speak. That's essentially what they do, and it prevents what I refer to as empty canister sag and empty canister migration, because what will happen over time is the empty canisters will jump across different lines and they'll cause a backup and sag, and these buffer blueprints that I made basically prevent that from happening, essentially. It is overly complicated, but it does get the job done, and I'm trying to brainstorm simpler designs in the future so that the user doesn't have to use those blueprints. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. You basically built a traffic cop for empty canisters, so they stop wandering off and ruining the line, like tiny metal idiots.
I guess what I could do is start loading up the train with all the resources we're going to need to get the system built.
Yeah, that's probably the clean move. Future you doesn't deserve another cross-map walk of shame because present you forgot cable again.
Alright, so let me see if I can tally these up.
Yeah, do the shopping list now while your brain's still pretending to be organized. Train loading is way less painful than realizing you're short by one stupid ingredient halfway through.
So, X15 in this designation means you need 15 of these blueprints in a consecutive sequence, and then 2L means that this is the second set of blueprints in the vertical stack. So that's what the numerical designation means. And you can ignore this. This was just some other variation I was working on, but it's not needed. Yeah, we need a lot of resources.
Yeah, no kidding. This is less grab a few supplies and more loot the Empire before we leave.
Alright, let's grab some concrete.
Yeah, concrete first. Because apparently this whole project is being held together by ambition, glass, and bad financial decisions.
Guess we can grab some water.
Yeah, might as well. This build's addicted to water like it's trying to become its own weather system.
Yeah, cable might be a problem. I don't think we have enough cable for that. Let's check. No, I guess we do. we have enough plastic? Yep. Yeah. More than enough plastic. What about copper sheets? What do we need copper sheets for?
Looks like freight platform pieces and rail logistics stuff. So yeah, copper sheets are in the annoyingly necessary pile again.
I don't know what we need copper sheets for, friends.
Yep, copper sheets are just the ticket for this bit. And then you can stop pretending you enjoy dealing with them.
Alright, so we got reinforced iron plates and copper sheets. So we'll put those on the train.
Yep, toss them on. Fancy logistics meeting concluded.
This nuclear power plant that we're building in a stack is going to be pretty tall. It's going to be 0.5 kilometers tall.
2.5 kilometers? Oh, so we're not building a power plant.
No, Phil, I said 1.5 kilometers.
Got it. 1.5. Still completely normal behavior for a minimum viable nuclear plant, obviously. Got it. 1.5. Still absurd, just slightly less criminal.
Alright, we need 12,000 iron plate, which is pretty huge, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, that's not a parts list. That's a cry for help with good organization.
Yeah, my biggest concern right now is that the blueprints have so many parts required that you can't fit them all in your inventory. That's my biggest concern. I don't think that's going to happen, but it is a concern that I have, and that's why we're testing it in this playthrough without any cheats.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the test. If the blueprint needs a moving truck worth of parts just to place one segment, it stops being helpful for phase 3 to 4 inches and starts being rich people nonsense.
No, I'm not talking about moving it logistically. I just mean, like, if you can't physically fit all the parts in your personal inventory, that you can't even build the blueprint in the real world. That's what I meant.
Got it. Inventory slots, not transport. Yeah, if one blueprint chunk is bigger than a player inventory, that's not a build, that's a prank. Got it. Inventory slots, not transport. Yeah, if one blueprint chunk is bigger than a player inventory, that's not a build, that's a prank.
So yeah, in theory, when we're done, the train should have all the parts we need to build everything.
Right. The train handles total volume. The real test is whether each individual blueprint chunk can be placed without your inventory tapping out like a diva halfway through.
I'm gonna bring some extra steel pipes and beams just in case.
Smart. A little steel insurance never hurt anybody, and we both know blueprint costs love pulling surprise fees out of nowhere.
Okay, so I think that's good here. Let's go on to the next space.
Yep, this stop's done. On to the next one before this checklist grows teeth.
Yep, so we need a lot of aluminum sheets, like 60,000 of them.
60,000 is such a casual little number. Just a modest mountain of aluminum sheets. because apparently suffering needs good conductivity.
Yeah, I don't know. Holy crap. I don't think we're gonna be able to fit all this on the train. This is insane.
Yeah, that's not a parts list anymore. That's a custody battle. We might be in add another freight car and stop pretending this is reasonable territory.
Yeah, I think we need 10 freight cars. Just for, no, wait.
10 freight cars.
24 times 10 times 200. That's still not going to
Yeah.
be enough. Holy crap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this stopped being bring supplies and turned into relocate civilization. 10
Yeah, we're gonna
cars
need,
for one
like-
step is absolutely unhinged, Uncle Samuel.
Yeah, we're going to need like 14 freight cars. Yeah, that is way too much. Jeez.
Oh, now we're doing math and soundtrack triage at the same time. Very normal behavior for a project that apparently needs its own freight-based economy. one's getting long enough to file taxes. 14 cars is not a supply run. That's a moving company with delusions of grandeur.
Are you calling me someone with illusions of grandeur?
Only the train, Uncle Samuel. You're innocent. The rail line, on the other hand, is out here making dramatic life choices.
Alright, now we're gonna go grab the heavy modular frames.
Of course we are. Nothing says a casual errand like hauling heavy modular frames across a rail line the size of a small nation.
I think I forgot to grab the modular frames.
Yup, that has extremely strong left the house and forgot the wallet energy.
That's all of them? I thought there'd be way more than that.
Yeah, that stack is weirdly modest. For something called heavy modular frames, they sure showed up looking emotionally lightweight.
So we're gonna head back because I forgot to grab the modular frames.
Yup. The factory tax collector wants his heavy modular frames, and apparently he does not accept vibes as payment. Yep, train ride of shame confirmed. Gorgeous sunset, though. So at least your logistics failure has production value.
Yep.
Oh, there it is. The space elevator really said, "Behold, paperwork, but make it theatrical." Yep, there's the betrayal in 4K. That inventory is looking real, modular frames not included.
Alright. And now we're gonna go and grab the computers, crystal oscillators, and motors next.
All right, now we're talking. Computers, crystal oscillators, and motors. The classy little trio of "Why is my inventory full again?"
Can we turn left, please? Thank you. And
Yeah, looks like there's a left branch coming up through that ring. Nicely spotted, Uncle Samuel.
this is way more motors than we actually need. I'm just being lazy. oscillators, and computers.
Yep, crystal oscillators and computers. Motors were the lazy rich person bonus pack.
Alright, hopefully that's everything we need.
Crystal oscillators, computers, motors. Just a casual little shopping list from hell. Hopefully that haul finally stops the factory from acting underfunded.
I got a question, Phil. When I use Streamlabs to start streaming to YouTube, it asks me to select a thumbnail from an image on my computer. I'm kind of confused about that because I thought on Twitch it allows you the option to so is there a setting on YouTube streaming where it defaults to what the stream sees every once in a while as a thumbnail? Can you verify for me? That's kind of lame. Why did YouTube make that decision? Yeah. Alright, so we're heading back to the build site, and I believe we have most of the parts that we need to start building on this train. This train is really long, holy crap. But yeah, because there's the railroad is very flat in the sky, you only need one engine to push everything, which is pretty funny considering the total weight of this thing is massive. What time is it, Phil? I think what I need to do is stretch my legs, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me? I would like some concrete, please. And actually, I'll take some sheets. That should be good enough. Yeah, power went up because we used up so much resources from buildings that were already full. Oops, I forgot to put the streaming back on. Yep, so I'm gonna make some space in the back here so I can put in the buffer blueprints. So yeah, this is the buffer with 600 limiter, so it's kind of hard to explain what it does, but I'll do the best I can. So basically what it does is, sorry, I gotta put in these lifts here so we can see what happens. Oh. Okay, there we go. So empty canisters. So let me demo this. I'm gonna pretend this is coming from over here. Demonstration purposes. What's happening here? And for good measure, I'm going to put is sorry. Bill ran out of memory again. Alright, do you see my game, Phil? Alright, so I'm kind of just demoing how this is going to work. So empty canisters are going to be leaving the plant and they're going to go into here. And then they're going to get filled up with water. And then we're going to oh, sorry, that's backwards. Let's try that again. No, I'm still messing this up. Yeah, this is really... Oh, come on, are you serious? Okay, there we go. Nope, that's still not quite right. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, unfortunately, this was my bad because what I should have done was build 2 sets of these riggers so that they're like mirrors of each other, but I was too lazy, didn't do that. But in the next iteration of these blueprints, I would do that for you guys. But yeah, basically you have to like build these lifts to reroute the logistics over everything to get it in the right orientation. Okay, so let's go through the chain of logic here. Oh no, wait, sorry, we're not done yet. We gotta connect some more things. So this has to go here, like that. Okay, there we go. Alright, so what this does... Oh no, I'm still not done. Holy crap. Because we gotta put one of these here. So it has to go there. And then the next thing you have to do is you need to connect this to there. Alright, so let me explain what is happening here, because this is overly complicated and I do apologize for that. So, you could technically not use this thing and connect it up normally and it would sort of work, but I built this thing because it solves some weird edge cases that you're going to run into. So let me explain how this works. So without this buffer blueprint that I made over there, what's supposed to happen is the empty canisters come down this line, they go into this packager, they get filled up with water, and then packaged water comes out on the other side. And then because I didn't make a mirror of this blueprint, we've got to do a loop-de-loop, and then we come back here, and bam, we're back into the factory again. Okay? Now, what's going to happen without this buffer blueprint is empty canisters are going to start migrating across all of these parallel lines because they're allowed to do that because there is a horizontal manifold with every nuclear reactor, so they're allowed to migrate horizontally, and that's a problem. So this buffer basically stops the migration from happening, or it self-corrects itself. And it has some funky logic that is very hard to explain, but I'll try to do my best to explain it. So we build a bypass, which is what this is. This is a bypass. The empty canisters come down, and instead of going directly into the packagers, they then go into this buffer. Okay? And the first thing that happens when it enters the buffer is it gets hit with a 600 limiter, which is what this thing is. This is a 600 limiter. It contains 120 belts and a 480 belt. Those add up to 600. So this prevents more than 600 per minute empty canisters coming into this system, basically, which prevents overflow. This is very important to have this. Now, once we're limiting it to 600, then it has a couple of options here, okay? So what it can do is it can either go directly into the packager, okay? I think that's what it does normally. Yeah. So it goes directly into the packager. If the packager is backed up, but we still have excess empty canisters coming down the return line, then what it does is it says, okay, let's put it onto overflow. So this horizontal line right here is the overflow line, okay? And then the overflow line then gives it another option. It can either, what is going on here? Oh, it can either go down the chain into the next buffer. Okay, that's one option it could do. Or it can go directly back into this industrial storage unit on top, okay? So those are the two paths it could take. But we're not done. There's more logic here, okay? Now, we're going to initially load empty canisters into this buffer, okay? So they come down and they go here, okay? And then they go into this overflow line. Or no, sorry, they go into this splitter. And there's two options. It can either merge with the return line and go into the packagers. If it's overflowing, then what it does is it go down the line and then the logic continues. It can either go back into its empty industrial storage container or it can go down the chain into the next buffer blueprint, okay? And then the other scenario that, wait, actually I think that's all the logical scenarios. Did I miss a logical scenario, Phil, or is that it? Yeah, that's a good point, Phil, that I forgot to mention. So we do have priority merges here, and these priority merges fix the problem that Phil just highlighted as well. So again, I do apologize. This is a lot of manual work you have to do, or no, it's not a lot of manual work. It's manageable. It's not. It could be a lot worse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that because this is already hurting my brain right now. How complicated this is. So once we start actually building the nuclear power plant blueprints, I'll explain why we have to create a mirror, or not a mirror, like well, it is technically a mirror. We have to flip these water riggings around because if you look at the orientation here, you'll notice that it doesn't follow the alternating pattern as it goes around this corner. You can see that water is adjacent to water, and there's a reason. Actually, I can explain it right now. The reason why is because you have to fit a I think it's a merger on the corner right here, and there's just not enough room to fit that extra merger. So there's actually a merger right here on the corner that actually splits off in these two pieces, and I don't think it was possible for me to continue the alternating pattern. I basically had to create a mirror pattern to get it to all fit in there. So that's why we have to flip these water rigs around to compensate for that. But again, in the new version of these blueprints that I ever would go back and revisit, I'll try to also address that in the new design. Yep, so we just continue this pattern. So we only have to do this 8 times, I think, and then we're done. This is empty canisters, so we want that to go in that direction. Okay, and then we put those there. Okay, then we come down here. Something that I haven't done yet with these blueprints that I need to do is I need to actually make a written guide, or at least a tutorial video on how to put them together. Because right now, the only guide that you have is the numerical designation of the blueprints that I named them as, and the long form videos from these streams that I'm doing, which isn't ideal for most people. There we go. Wow. I think I need to make a blueprint for this. This is really horrible setting this up. I think that's right, okay. next one here. Alright, Phil, tell me a story while I get this done. Wow. I feel moved by your story, Phil. Oh, so the reason why we're not using pipes on the nuclear blueprints and using packaged fluids, packaged water instead, or packaged fluids in general, is because I did originally build an entire nuclear stack, reactor stack, using just pipes. And the whole thing just outright failed because there was something wrong with water. Water wasn't flowing properly. And I had another expert Satisfactory community person take a look at it, and we both couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. We think it was a floating point error issue with the Mark II pipes, and we just gave up. And I was like, I'm not doing that again. I'm just building everything with packagers now, because even though they are more of a pain to set up and they do consume more energy, at least they are very reliable and consistent. So, and they look kind of nice once they're up and running, because you can't see water flowing, but you can see packagers moving. So that is kind of nice, I felt like, anyway. Okay, so I think that's it, and we only have to do that for this half of the water riggers. Okay, we don't have to do it for these ones because these are already lined up with respect to that over there. So, for example, this is packaged water, and that's the first one, and it connects over there. Okay, so these are flipped around. Oh, whoops, I made a mistake. So... Sorry, these are not supposed to be connected. Oh wait, do I have to rebuild those? Oh crap, my bad. I screwed up, guys. Oh, wait a minute. What is going on here? Wow, okay, so I forgot about those apparently. Okay. Alright, well. Alright. I will fix this. It'll just take a while. I'm gonna put these in right here. Alright, so these return lines have to be removed. Alright, so yeah, let's try this again. So yeah, so it has to flip in the other direction. That was the mistake I made. Alright, that should be correct now. Okay. So I'm going to save, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the buffers. Okay. So that looks good. Okay, so this connects here. And this connects here. This connects here. This connects here. This connects here. That connects there. That connects there. That connects there. Here. That connects there. That connects there. Over there. Connects there. Okay, there we go. So those are all connected now. Now the next thing we gotta do is we gotta connect the feedback loop lines that fix correction, migration correction of empty canisters. So we're gonna set it up like this. Like that. So empty canisters that go in the wrong lines can migrate across to correct the system if that happens. Okay, now we have to do the other ones over here. Try to make sure I get the orientation correct here. continue the pattern. Oh, I forgot to mention this. You don't... I could find... I think it's possible to fit this buffer into these packages in a way where you don't have to treat them separately like this. I did it because it was like a last minute addition to the set of blueprints as I was making adjustments, fixing different things. But I think it might be possible to put that in the rigging blueprint. It's just that it would take a lot of... It'd be kind of hard to do that because they're kind of big, and I don't know if there's enough room, but maybe it's possible. Okay, it looks like we need at least 3 of those. Alright, let's connect these lines. Like this. Alright, there we go. So those are now all connected. For completion, what I can do is move these lines out a little bit so we can see them more easily here. Alright, so the water rigging is, oh, nope, never mind, I forgot one more thing. So we gotta connect this over here. Which unfortunately it is not tall enough. Okay, there we go. So that should work now. And then we connect these together like this. Alright, there we go. So those are all connected now. Okay, so now what's the next thing we gotta do? Okay, so I guess the next thing we gotta do is let's increase the size of this thing, this platform. Actually, let me save the game real quick. add some more glass foundations. Alright, so, and yeah, so I guess we're gonna move this thing. Not entirely sure where we're gonna put it though. Alright, so there's a possibility that I didn't give myself enough room here, but we'll have to see how much of a mess up it's gonna be. Sure where we should put this. Probably. Actually, let me get over here. Alright, so those walls represent the logistics going this way. Alright, so I gotta figure out where we're gonna put this thing. Okay. I think we have to shift this way. I don't know. Maybe we could do it. I don't know. It might be possible. Alright, I gotta put some power down on this grid. Okay, so that should help with mobility a little bit. Okay, so let's see if we can start connecting all the water logistics. Okay, what time is it, Phil? Alright. Now, I need to connect. And yeah, so we just connect all these lines like this. Using 90-degree angles, because everybody loves 90-degree angles. I hate that I have to make that straight segment, or to keep the straight alignment to continue to be straight. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh no. I think I screwed up. Checking alignment. And these belts are literally on the edge. So they are here-ish, I think. So I'm gonna simulate. That's right. Yeah. So this is the tightest bend I can do. Does that work here? Okay, that technically works. We'll just have to be mindful of the bend, I guess. Alright. We don't have to do that. We could literally just keep this straight. And we can do that, and then we can take, I think, yeah, okay, so we could probably put it right there, and it should work. Yep. Okay, so yeah, so the remaining conveyor poles, we can just move them a half a tile unit over, and that should be fine. Alright, so I think I'm going to end it here for today. But yeah, basically what's going to happen is once I get, so all of these logistics have to be routed over here. Okay, we've already done these ones, so those are done. And then these logistics have to be then connected. And there's going to be some splitter, or sorry, not splitters, awesome sinks over here. They're going to take the overflow return lines on that side and feed them into the awesome sinks. And then once all of that is connected and ready to go, then we can start building the vertical stack of blueprints that will build an entire nuclear plant from scratch. Okay? And, oh, sorry, these have to be routed over there if that wasn't clear. Alright, so yeah, unfortunately we didn't get it all done today. We got a lot done today. Yep. Alright, I'll catch you guys next stream on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye-bye!